Recently, I started working on a gorillatag fangame solely for the purpose of Jmancurly to play it. And I thought, why not document the journey? So in this video, I'll be showing you the beginning and setting up the project. I'll also be showing you the full journey of creating the game, finishing it, and hopefully getting Jmancurly to play it. If you guys do want me to continue the series, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first thing I did was begin setting up XR plugin management, which if you don't know what that is, it basically allows you to play your game on VR and export it to VR. So I set up that, and it actually takes a little bit because you have to let everything load. I set up the Oculus XR plugin management as well, and once I was all finished with that, I imported the XR interaction toolkit, which basically lets me use my controllers and pick up stuff in the game, which you'll see in a later episode. I then set up the right and left controller presets, which basically lets me connect to my controllers. I then imported the gorillatag locomotion, which is basically the movement, and luckily for me it's actually open source. So I imported that into my game, and it took a little bit to load. And I set everything up, set up the controllers, set up the actual player, and I'll rig the player model in a later episode, but that will not be in this one. I imported Pro Builder, did all that, as you can see here, and just setting up extra stuff. I added vibrations. I'm setting up hand tag, which basically lets me click buttons and stuff like that. Set up my controllers once again, and yep. So now what I did is I went into Sketchpad and I began illustrating ideas for the spawn map. Just did really goofy concept art, but as you can see, I did eventually get it figured out. We're going to have a computer, a wardrobe, the basic stuff, but we're also going to have some extra stuff, which I'm really excited for. Again, you guys will obviously be able to play this game. I will release it whenever I'm finished with it, but obviously it's solely for the purpose of getting Jman to play it, which is actually a pretty funny concept to me. So, in the spawn, we're going to have a TV set, a Jman statue. We're going to have a thing where you can search different maps and then teleport to them, which is going to be pretty cool in my opinion. We'll also have a code of conduct board, obviously, to set the rules, and we will have a button for our Discord. I don't know if I'm going to make one yet, but we'll also maybe have a voting system. That'll be pretty cool, and then we'll have a rug in the middle of that. So there's spawn for you. I'm very excited about making it. So what I did after was I opened Blender and began working on the spawn map. It didn't take that long because it's really simple, but it'll have a bunch of stuff in it which will make it extra cool. So I just began modeling that. I do have some modeling experience. I've made 2 separate games from this in the span of about a year and a half. So I made the layout of spawn, and then you'll see I go searching for materials for the walls and the floor. And eventually I do actually find a material that I like for the wall and floor, and I import them into Blender, and as you can see I just put them on the walls. I used brick because that's what I like, but I couldn't quite figure out how to work a certain wall, but that's fine because it looks good anyways. I then put the floor material, which is just, you know, wood. Then what I did, it automatically adds shadow lighting, which it didn't do that in my last project, but it's probably because I upgraded versions for Unity, so that's pretty cool. So then what I did is I began modeling the desk setup with the computer, keyboard, and chair, and it actually turned out better than I expected. So I modeled the table, and then I began modeling a monitor. I wanted to go for an older monitor look, and it actually turned out pretty good. So I'm going to have 2 of them. One of them is going to be your name and stuff, and then the other one's going to display your stats, like your FPS and what room you're in and stuff like that. I already had a keyboard from a separate game I made, and I just used some models from there. So I already had the keyboard, and then I began modeling the chair, which actually turned out pretty good. I went for this like beachy chair look. I don't know why, but it just looks pretty cool, so I just went for that. And then I made some cords that connect the monitors just for some extra detail. And they came out alright, but what really looked good was the monitors, chair, and desk. And then I added materials, of course, because you need materials for your stuff to make your game look good, obviously. So I was just fixing materials up for the desk, as you can see. It took me a while, but I eventually finished adding materials for the desk, and then I moved on to adding materials for the monitor, chair, and monitor, chair, and keyboard. I went for a plastic look, a metal plastic look. So I added that to the monitor, to the cords, and to the keyboard. And then I added a fabric texture to the chair. And they don't look great right now, but I'm going to pixelate them in the Unity inspector, and then they'll look pretty good then. So what I did was I just imported them into my actual game, and they look fantastic, but I still have to add materials on there, which I will do in a second. So as you can see, I'm just importing them, and I'm about to import materials. I'm just setting everything up, naming everything, naming groups, and I had to scale the chair separately because it looked kind of wonky, imported as it was. So I just fixed that, as you can see, and I'm just adding materials, and I'm about to pixelize them and set the smoothness down. And yep, as you can see, I'm pixelizing the wood stuff, then the plastic, and then I'm about to do the fabric on the chair. About to pixelize that, as you can see, and it looks way better. I might change it later, but as of right now, it looks pretty good to me. And that's all I got done in the first episode, and episode 2 will come out later. So it all looks pretty good right now. Got the desk setup done, and yeah. I hope you guys did enjoy part 1 of this series, and I really hope Jman plays this game. This game will obviously come out whenever it's done. I'm not sure if it'll come out on App Lab. I'm really hoping, but for sure itch.io and hopefully SideQuest. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in part 2. Bye.